Hi there, it's me again. I'm back and today I'm going to give you a dance tip. I thought these little dance tip videos could be quite useful, really just focusing on one aspect of dancing that I wanted to share with you to make your dance experience better. Today I'm going to look at dancing on the balls of your feet. What does that mean exactly, and how do we do that, and when do we need to do that? So what do we mean when we say the balls of your feet? Well, really it's just this area underneath where your toes are. It's the front part of the foot. Now if I just turn sideways on, that really helps show much better what I'm talking about. And essentially, normally when we stand upright, our weight is quite in the centre. You'll probably feel it in your heel as well as in the front part of your foot, because your just weight is evenly spread. If you just slightly take your weight back into your heels, you'll feel that your toes almost lift up. But if you go the other way and you feel your weight go forward into your toes and the front part of the foot, you'll feel your heels more lifting up. And it's in this more forward-like position that we want to be in for most times when we're dancing. So just once again, just feel your weight in the center and then just feel yourself take that weight forward. There's only such a slight movement, but it makes quite a big difference to dancing. Now, there are styles that are quite energetic and bouncy, like let's say jive and samba, and those ones more so, you really want to have your weight forward in the front part of the foot. You might even find that your heels really come off the ground. So again, if I just turn sideways so you can see, so you might find that your heels come up quite high because you're on the front part of your foot. So that's what I'm referring to. The balls of the feet is just taking your weight forward and being in that ready position. Is often likened to jogging, because when we jog, you shouldn't jog with your weight in your heels. You jog with your weight forward. When you're jogging, you're in more of a ready position with your weight slightly forward over your toes than you are if you were jogging with your heels. You can see I'm very upright. It's a completely different position. Now some of you may be saying, yeah, I don't do jogging. I don't either. But the idea is you get the idea about leaning forward or being further forward. It's not, I shouldn't say leaning forward, it's more being forward, slightly over your toes rather than over your heels. So when we're doing the jive, for instance, don't keep your weight back, as we do our flicks and our taps. That's with my weight very far back. If I do it sideways, you can see my weight's very far back. And I just tap as well. Instead, try and keep that weight forward. And you can see I'm in a slightly different position, hopefully, even when I'm tapping. If I keep my arms low, I'll keep my weight forward. You will find if you reach up that you do take your weight back. So there are some moves where that's going to work for you, that's fine. So likewise in samba, when we do a bounce, step and bounce, have that weight forward, out of the heels. Feel your heels coming up and down. Even if you don't want to bounce so much, you still want to get those heels. I sometimes refer to doing a step tap and a lift of the heel rather than a bouncing. So step and tap, step and tap. I'm lifting the back heel up, but I'm not actually going airborne, so it's not quite as high. But you can see that the heel is coming up. If I do it this way as well, you might see a bit better. Step, lift the heel, step, lift the heel, step and lift, step and lift. And I can only lift that heel because my weight is forward. Okay? So I thought it might be useful for you to see it from another perspective. Here my weight is very much in the spread across the foot, and down in the centre I can feel my weight in my heels and in my toes. If I just take my weight back slightly, my toes ever so fractionally feel like they're coming off. Now I'm going to take my weight forwards into the front part of my foot. You can see there's a slight more of an angle in the lower leg there just above the foot, but you can see then the heels can come off the ground because my weight is forward. So here my weight is in my heels. You can see the leg is really over the heel, but now I take that weight forward. There's a slight angle on the legs there because the weight's forward. Now, even if I was just doing a regular style like that's not bouncy, like a cha-cha, I just do this on the spot. We'll have 1, 2, cha-cha-cha, 1, 2, cha-cha-cha. Because my heels need to come off to the ground as I move to the side, I'm keeping that weight forward. So my weight is not here. This is me doing it with my weight back. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha. My heels stay more on the ground. On the carpet it's definitely harder, but you would still find that quite laboured if you were doing it on a smoother floor. Now let me do it again with my weight slightly forward. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha. It's so much easier when your weight is forward. All right, so try to keep that weight slightly here so that you can lift those heels up. Now, I mentioned before about doing things like the jive and the samba bounce. Let's look at the samba bounce. Step and tap, step and tap. That's very flat-footed. I can lift the heel up a little bit, but I can only lift that heel if my weight is forward on that front part of the foot. Or you can do it with obviously more of a bounce. So I was thinking about when we would want to have our weight forward in the front part of our foot. Well, I've already mentioned that it's often when we're bouncing and we want to be more energetic. To lift up, we need that weight forward. But it's also quite important when you want to move more quickly. So when we do syncopated steps, and syncopated, that means quick steps in place of slower ones normally. So 2 quick instead of 1 slow. Now, when we do those, because we're moving quickly, we need to be light on our feet. You've probably heard that expression before. Well, being light on your feet is synonymous with having your weight forward in the balls of your feet, so having that weight forward. So I'm just going to look at one of those moves now, and I'm going to look at the multi-tap in Hustle. So basically, this is with me, with my weight in the heels. I'm going to tap in front to side, move back, back, forward. Tap, tap, back, back, forward. So hopefully what you can see is that when I go back, my whole body goes back. It's quite a big motion. Tap, tap. See how the legs go back completely when I put my heels down because my weight is further back. Now, if I do that move again with my weight forward, so instead of here, I'm taking my weight forward over the balls of the feet. You can see heels just skimming the surface. So let me do it again and I'll show you. Tap, tap, back and change. Tap, tap, back and change. Can you see how my heels are off the ground? At the back there. So when I'm doing that change, heels up, off the ground. But what that also means is that the amount of movement back is not so much as well. If you look at my legs, you can see that I'm on more of an angle when I do that. Instead of being here, I'm there. In fact, I can't hold it because I'm going to topple forward. So I've talked about dancing on the balls of your feet for being energetic and light on your feet for the bouncy styles. And also if you want to be quicker. But it's also important when you want to do turns or more movement because you can't easily turn if your weight is in your heels because your foot's going to stay one way and you want to go the other and you're liable to injure yourself, especially your knee, and we don't want that to happen. So what we need to do is get used to having that weight forward, like I was explaining earlier, so that you have the heels off the ground and it allows movement. And what I often refer to, or you might have heard before, is this pivot. So the idea of the pivot is turning and allowing that movement, and we do that on the balls of the feet. Often if you've bought dance shoes or dance sneakers, you might find there's what's called a spin spot, and that's usually below your big toe. That's the kind of position that you want to be on where you're turning. So put your weight on that spot, underneath your big toe, below your big toe I should say, on the balls of the feet, and turn around there. So the heels are off the ground and you can move around. So I hope that's been a helpful little tip. Try it at home and try and get used to having that weight forward. There may be some styles where your weight can come back a little bit, and I usually explain that, but for most time, assume your weight needs to be forward over the front part of your foot. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.